Good Tuesday evening to you. Welcome to More Sports and Les Levine. Dave Bacon filling in for Les Levine. Plenty of Browns news coming out of Berea. It has been a crazy day. It started with Kevin Stefanski, two offensive players in Joel Bitonio and KhaDarel Hodge testing positive for COVID, out for the Steelers playoff game. Two more assistant coaches as well. Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer, has been chasing down the story all day long. We appreciate the time. So Mary Kay, as it looks now, Kevin Stefanski will be unable to coach the Browns. In that first playoff game, Mike Prefer becomes the acting head coach on the sidelines.
Yeah, and that's the way it's going to stay, too. I mean, unfortunately for everybody involved, that is not going to change. Kevin Stefanski, who got the team to this point in his first season, coached them to an 11-5 season and their first playoff berth in 18 years, and now he has to sit at home and watch the football game. It's incredibly unfortunate. He can't be involved on game day at all. So it's just a really sad situation for everybody involved. And hopefully the Browns can overcome this adversity and go into Pittsburgh and, for their sake, win a football game.
Now it appears Mike Prefer will be the acting head coach. Of course, Bill Callahan, who had NFL head coaching experience, was on the COVID list last week, so that kind of took him out of the picture. What does this do to a coaching staff when you have all these changes? Alex Van Pelt will be calling the plays, the offensive coordinator, quarterback coach. But what does this do to a coaching staff? What does it do in-game to the Browns? What does it mean?
Well, you know, it's going to be quite the challenge because they're going to be shorthanded. They're not sure if Bill Callahan will be able to be back. And they don't know if Chad O'Shea will be back. So once again, you've got Mike Prefer overseeing the operation, and then you've got Alex Van Pelt, who will, he'll go out there and he'll call the plays, but he hasn't called plays since 2009. And we just don't know exactly who's going to be available or who's not. They're all going to have to pull together. Some guys might have to coach a couple of positions. They're going to be stretched thin, and it will test their mettle for sure.
And you see, Mike Prefer does have one game of head coaching experience. He was the interim head coach with the Vikings when Mike Zimmer had emergency surgery in 2016. But again, you throw him into the playoff game, the first for the franchise since back in 2002. What about the play calling? Alex Van Pelt takes that over. Do you expect that to be any different? Is it? I would imagine after an entire season, he kind of knows what Kevin Stefanski wants and has a feel for this offense as well.
Hey, before we go any further, a quick congratulations to Clay Matthews. He made it to the final 15 for Pro Football Hall of Fame voting, and that's just absolutely phenomenal for him. So good for Clay. He's never made it this far. He's never made it down into the final 15. This means that, and I'm a Hall of Fame selector, so is Tony Grossi. This means that Clay makes it into the room, and we actually will debate on him whether or not he will get into the Hall of Fame this year. And it could happen. So that's amazing news, and I figured this is breaking, and I just might as well get it out there right now.
You just keep breaking news today. I mean, what is it? Tell me a little bit back to the original question. That's great news for Clay Matthews, certainly deserving. What about having Alex Van Pelt calling the plays? He spent an entire year. He kind of knows what Kevin Stefanski wants, and Kevin Stefanski can certainly be part of the game plan. He can go all through the virtual stuff up till game day, correct?
Yes, up until game day, he can. They just, they have to do the best they can to come up with the best game plan that they possibly can for Sunday to try to beat this very difficult to deal with Pittsburgh Steelers defense, attacking, aggressive, opportunistic. But then on game day, he cannot be involved. So it's going to be quite the challenge for Alex Van Pelt to have to go out there to call plays for the first time since 2009. He hasn't done it all year. He's been very involved, but he hasn't actually done it.
Do you expect any type of difference, or do you expect it to be pretty much the same type of thing that Kevin Stefanski would be doing?
Um, shoot, one second. Um, I'm sorry. Talk for a minute. I have to deal with something real quick.
Okay. So, Mary Kay Cabot, quickly breaking news as well. Clay Matthews, a finalist for the NFL Hall of Fame. We're going to talk a little bit about the offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt, calling plays for the first time all year because Kevin Stefanski has tested positive for COVID. He can go through all of the game planning, so he can be part of the virtual meetings and the game planning that will occur up to game day. But once game day hits, Kevin Stefanski cannot have any part of that game day experience. Bill Callahan, offensive line coach, who has had some head coaching experience. You see quite a bit of it. Led him to the Super Bowl. The Raiders back in his time as the Raiders head coach, was also Nebraska head coach, interim head coach of the Redskins back in 2019. He tested positive for COVID last week, so the Browns don't have any idea if Bill Callahan will be available to be on the sidelines, part of game day, and all those adjustments that need to be made, helping out Alex Van Pelt. So, Mary Kay, what do you expect to see different, maybe? Or will there be any difference in the offense?
Well, I don't think there will be anything different in the offense. I mean, they're going to go with what got them here. I think they're going to try to run the ball a lot. You've got Nick Chubb, you've got Kareem Hunt. I think they're going to use their two-headed monster, and I just really think that that these guys are going to try to rely on that and run all of their play action off of that, and kind of go from there.
When you look at the loss of Joel Bitonio and Hodge, the guy that would have been in the mix for the third wide receiver, obviously Joel Bitonio, a huge loss, and you feel terrible for him as the longest standing member of the Browns franchise. That's a guy that suffered through a whole lot of bad football, and finally, when the playoffs hit, he's not going to be able to be part of that either.
I know. It's so unfortunate and so sad, and I feel horrible for him. Everybody feels horrible for Joel. I mean, he hasn't missed a snap since I think it was 2016, and it's just been a really, really rough day for everybody that knows Joel, for everybody in the organization. He's waited for this for so long. You saw after the game, Kevin Stefanski handed him the game ball, let him talk to the team for a while, because this means so much to him. And now he's got to sit out this game. I mean, if there's anybody that you wouldn't want to have to sit out this game, it would have been Joel Bitonio, and lo and behold, he's the one.
When you look at what we learned, what did we learn from playing the Steelers? I know there were a lot of guys missing, but there are some takeaways and some things that you would believe that the Browns figured, yeah, we can do that, and maybe we'll even hold that back a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you what, if they don't have Joe Hayden, that's going to be an opportunity for Baker Mayfield to hit some plays. And he hit some plays without Joe in that first game. So I think that's one area where if Joe can't play, and I think there's a very good chance that Joe's going to have to sit out this game, that Baker Mayfield will have some opportunities to hit some big one-on-one plays downfield. Now, problem is, a couple of his guys aren't going to be there. KhaDarel Hodge brings some speed. Donovan Peoples-Jones brings some speed. He's got a concussion. So you just don't really know how that's going to work out.
Do you take anything away from the running attack? I know there were some big pieces of that defense missing, but 6.2 yards a carry is an awful lot of yards against anybody in the NFL, and that's what the Browns averaged.
Well, once again, as you mentioned, a couple of their key guys were not out there. They didn't have Cam Hayward. They didn't have TJ Watt. And when you take two of your best guys off the field, including your best defensive tackle, your Pro Bowl Hall of Fame, your Pro Bowl defensive tackle, that's going to hurt your run defense. He's one of their best run defenders. So they were already down a couple of key guys in Devin Bush and Bud Dupree. So this is a huge deal.
All right. The other thing is when you look at it, Ben Roethlisberger didn't play, resting him up, so you're getting him kind of at full strength, or more so at full strength. But the Steelers, quite frankly, have not played well down the stretch. They had the second half against Indianapolis. And other than that, they've struggled pretty much the last 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, they had 3 games where they certainly looked beatable, and I thought when I saw the way that they played, there was no doubt in my mind that even full strength that the Browns were going to beat them in the season finale. I just had no doubt in my mind. But now, once again, they woke up. They kind of snapped to it, and Ben kind of got it back. Another thing that happened, I think, is they started hanging on to the ball. Deontay Johnson started being able to catch the football, and that's huge. They were leading the league in drops before that. So I just think that was an enormous, just an enormous drawback for them, that they could not move the football that way, and they're not running the ball well. They are not running the ball well, which is weird. I mean, if you're going into a slump with your passing game, you would think that you could at least be trying to run the ball, and they're just not doing a good job of that. Now, they did not have Marquise Pouncey, their Pro Bowl center, in that game. That didn't help matters in the run game, but still, you would expect a little bit more from them that way.
Yeah, without question. Mary Kay, I was surprised. They are the worst running team, both yards per carry and average yards per game in the NFL, which I was shocked when I saw that a couple of weeks ago. Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. We're going to take a quick time out. On the other side of break, Mary Kay will join us, and we'll also hear from Mike Tomlin talking about having Ben Roethlisberger and all that playoff experience under center for the Steelers. More sports and less Levine. We'll be right back after this timeout.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of fall classes we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs and keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your 4-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. More sports and Les Levine continues. I'm Dave Bacon filling in for Les Levine. Browns getting ready for that playoff game Sunday night against Pittsburgh Steelers. And it will be Baker Mayfield's first playoff game as a quarterback in the NFL. Other side of the field, Ben Roethlisberger has been in 21 playoff games, almost as many as the total that Browns players have experienced. He is 13-8 in those playoff games. Mike Tomlin, Steelers head coach, knows it's an advantage, but he's not really focusing on it because he feels the playoffs are really unique and special.
I do, and so I hadn't thought a lot about it. I just acknowledge that it's helpful to our cause, and so I haven't spent a lot of time, enjoying the potential aspects of that. I'm more focused on the challenges of preparation.
Hey, Mike, just to play off that playoff experience, your receivers don't have much of all, maybe one game, but they have extended playing time over their career. Can you just talk about how much playoff experience means or doesn't mean with that specific group?
Hey, we can go down every man on our roster and every man on their roster and talk about playoff experience or not. The reality is there's not a lot of playoff experience by a lot of people. There's scarcity in these games. And so these are big moments. And so we just need to prepare and focus on that preparation and position ourselves to play well and to seize these moments. And I'm not spending a lot of time worried about who has experience and who does not. I just want to position these guys to play well and push through some of those questions and things that all of us globally have to answer. And so from that standpoint, it's fair and it shouldn't dominate a lot of our thought or time.
So let's bring back in Mary Kay Cabot, a beat reporter for the Cleveland Browns here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. Mary Kay, when you think of Ben Roethlisberger against the secondary that has been kind of beat up, that's not a good thought, because that's a guy that can probably find the matchup that he wants. I think that speaks to the Browns really needing Denzel Ward. You think that's accurate?
Yeah, and Denzel has a chance to play in this game, so they just have to hope that he gets back. It's a matter of, just him getting cleared and passing all the medical stuff, but he does have a chance to be back from a timing standpoint. Because his 10 days will have expired by the time that game happens on Sunday. The Sunday game really helped him. So, yeah, they do need Denzel back. Ben Roethlisberger, and again, he kind of woke up in the second half of that Colts game. Those receivers are really good. And if they're hanging on, they're darn good. Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson. This is a really good trio. So you definitely need all the defensive backs you can get. Now, Kevin Johnson, I don't think he will be back because he tested so late for the virus. I don't think that he has a chance. I'm pretty sure he does not have a chance to be back. So hopefully for the Browns, they will have Denzel, and and they can put him on a Deontay Johnson.
The other part of it is, if you can't let Ben Roethlisberger have a bunch of time back there, so Olivier Vernon being done is going to be hurting the Browns' cause as well as far as pass rush. Who are some of the guys that you think, boy, if they step up, we're in pretty good shape on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, there are a couple guys that I think can really step up and make an impact in this game. As you mentioned, Olivier Vernon is out, and that is going to hurt. It gives Porter Gustin and Adrian Claiborne a chance to really kind of shine and show what they can do. And then, then you got a couple of linebackers that can try to get out there and do some things and make a little bit of an impact. B.J. Goodson might be back for this game. I think that will really help them. And then Ronnie Harrison, he got his feet wet. He kind of like shook the rust off in the last game. And now this is an opportunity for him to go out there and maybe try to make an impact and get his hands on a football.
When you look at what the Browns did, they really didn't blitz a whole lot against the Steelers. I thought that might happen a little bit more. Do you think that's a strategic type thing? You don't want Pittsburgh to be able to dissect where those are coming from in the event that the Browns decide they need to use pressure, this week, so to speak? Or is there another reason they just didn't blitz?
It almost seems like on both sides of the ball, they were a little bit vanilla in that game. I think that they kind of viewed it as a situation where it was a game they felt they should have pretty well in hand, knowing that they were playing against Mason Rudolph and that they weren't going to be facing T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward, Marquise Pouncey, Joe Hayden. It was a game, I think, that they just kind of played it a little bit close to the vest. Now it's time to kind of let it all hang out, but it'll be interesting to see how that works. Kevin Stefanski is a very aggressive play caller, goes for it on fourth down all the time and those kinds of things. And, and Joe Woods, it'll be interesting to see, again, what he does on the defensive side of the ball, as you mentioned, with blitzing and being aggressive and that sort of thing. But the thing with Ben Roethlisberger is, he can ID that stuff so quickly. You're not really going to fool him. What he has going for him is his wisdom his maturity, his experience.
There are tastes we remember.